Good morning. Good morning. I'm Cynthia Hoven, and this is Eurythmy Online featuring Eurythmy as a personal practice. This is the beginning of the autumn year and the autumn season for our Eurythmy classes. And just as here in the Northern Hemisphere, at least in the North American lands, this is when the new school year begins. And so also for the curriculum of the Eurythmy Online project, we begin again in the autumn. Please allow me to say a few words of introduction here as we get started this week, beginning this autumn series. I'm so glad to be back here again. It feels wonderful to be starting this project again. I've been doing these online webinars since 2020, and my vision around this stems from the fact that when the COVID quarantines began in 2020, I knew that I felt this tremendous resilience and health in myself precisely because of what Eurythmy offers to me. This sense of deep spiritual alignment with mission and purpose and meaning. And I thought of so many people who are isolated in bizarre situations around the world and in our continent. And I thought, I will take up the task of doing Eurythmy that people can find in their own living rooms. And I have heard some wonderful feedback from some people who said things like, this saved their lives. And this has become an integral part of their lives. So I hope that you continue to find deep meaning in this work. Many of you who are here signed up for this webinar, I can see are new, and there are quite a few names that I don't recognize. And so I need to kind of feel how we're going to approach building our skills as we begin this new year. We have done many things. I do these webinar series, each of which lasts from 4 to 7 weeks, and is usually paired with a lecture series. And these have included cosmic evolution or life after death and such topics. And the Eurythmy classes have included a wide variety of classes, including the basic warm-up exercises, the rod exercises, all of the consonants, all of the vowels, all of the health-bestowing exercises from the so-called soul exercises, work with planets and their relationship to the vowels, work with consonants and their relationship to constellations, and work with colors, and also with wonderful poetry from Calendar of the Soul verses, and also with a verse for the 4th panel of the Foundation Stone Meditation. And since I know that many of you who are here again, I want to welcome and say we will pick all of these up again in already starting in this webinar, but I'm also going to spend some time today really going back into some basic exercises just to be sure that the newcomers also can know what we're doing here and how we're working. So this season, we're going to be looking deeply at a question that I think is so essential in our time, the question of what is happening to humanity in that we are becoming so intertwined with artificial intelligence, in which the integrity of the human being is incredibly endangered. And I know I am perhaps in a very strange position here because the whole idea of doing Eurythmy online is a bold step into the world of artificial intelligence and computer technology. And I am just so sure that this gesture is the process of taking light into the realm of the darkness and using artificial intelligence as a medium to bring light. And if I can very carefully explain to you how to work, then we overcome the limitations of the media and you become acquainted with how to work with your etheric body and the inherent logos qualities that you bear. So this is what we're doing, and we're working on understanding the physical, etheric, and astral bodies and the ego constitution that lives in your heart, the depth of your soul. And that's really what's being directly attacked by the computer, the ego, the sense of meaning, and your relationship to life. So let me mention that these Eurythmy lessons can be done that also by anyone, but that some of you may not have done the whole journey with us. We might soon, the coming lessons, be touching things that you're not familiar with, like all the vowels and all the consonants and all the colors. And if you find that these are intriguing but too much for you, please go to the website that I have, where you can find recordings of all the classes that we've done, and also detailed recordings of teaching how to do threefold walking and contraction, expansion, and all of these exercises. Because it's important to me that you don't just copy me, but that you are always in everything feeling that I'm giving you the keys for how to work in yourself, to discover yourself. Now, at the end of each lesson, you will receive an email from me with a link to the recording of the lesson that we've just done, and also the words of any poems that I may have given to you. So more than half of the people who are registered for each webinar end up watching the recording for it afterwards. And so I'm speaking to half of you, and the other half will be tuning in later. And yet everyone who has registered will be getting these links when I finish the class and process the webinar. Finally, you will have noticed that I offer these classes for free because it's my deep spiritual commitment to make these available to anyone who wants to watch. And yet I deeply thank everyone who has and is able to donate, because only as long as my gift, my offering, is matched in turn by you participating in the energy exchange, by giving donations according to your possibilities, only if you can do that is that going to work. And I continue doing this. So in preparation for this week's lesson, we're going to be working with warm-up exercises, and then we're going to learn how to feel the breathing of the exercises. We'll work on really enlivening our relationship to space and discovering how the Eurythmy practice is a practice of the heart chakra and the larynx, and not the lower chakras, which belong to the other movements arts, the wonderful ancient arts of Tai Chi and Qigong and so on, which come from another gesture before computers were invented, I could say. If you are new, watch carefully and see how we're doing this. Also, we will work in this webinar sequence, which runs for 4 weeks, with the calendar of the Soulverse, which deals with the month of September, the changing seasons of the year as we begin to go into the dark times towards the season of Michaelmas. And we will also always, throughout the whole autumn, be working with the Foundation Stone Meditation and with Hallelujah. One more thing. Next week, we're going to begin working with rod exercises, copper rods. And please bring your rod with you to class. If you're new, you might not have a copper rod yet. I will include in the mailing today instructions for how to get a 3-foot long piece of plumbing copper pipe like this. And if you can't get one of these, it would be a compromise, but you could essentially get a wooden dowel of the same size. But the copper has a special property of warmth and the quality of the planet Venus. All right. Please excuse me for taking so many words and so much time to give these introductory thoughts. And now let's begin. I hope you have a room to stand in that is free from clutter. And I hope you have a space that will allow you to take at least 4 steps forwards and 4 back. I hope you will be able to have or create a space which is as free as possible from distractions. And I recognize it won't be possible for everyone. To begin your practice, find your inner quiet. Cultivate a real sense of presence. In Eurythmy, we always keep our eyes open. We don't close our eyes because doing that, although it may seem like we're going deeper, deeper, deeper into bliss, it's not what we do in Eurythmy. We stay here, present, eyes open, and establish our relationship to the spiritual world and to bliss, even with our eyes open. But we use open gaze. So as you stand here quietly, feel yourself straight and tall, quiet, eyes open, but using soft gaze. And of course, as we begin, you're looking at the camera, at the video screen, but see if you can, for the most part, blur me out and see the entire room that you're looking at. And I'm just here in front of you to guide you and instruct you, but try not to focus on the screen if possible. As you stand, become aware of your head, your chest, your limbs, your 3 parts of a human being. And just as a word for those of you who are familiar with the Eastern arts, which work with these lower chakras, as I said, come from another time in evolution. In our time, the spiritual path of our age is saying we must work with consciousness into our instrument, our body. So standing tall, acknowledge not only the lower body, but the importance of your mind, of your word, and then most importantly, of your heart. Hearts must learn to think. And I mean there, of course, the heart chakra. Okay. And we're going to begin a movement here to feel the space around you. You are much more than just body. You are also this whole sphere of space that you live in. So let's try moving our arms up and down. And very primitive exercises, something that I hope will engage all of you, whether you've done it before or not. But move yourself, your arms through the space and see if you can become, as my friend said, 1% more gentle in your movements than you usually are. Feel without willing, but let the forces of the widths of the world and the heights of the sky pull your arms. Your arms weigh nothing when you do this. And then bring them down to the side again. In this last year, we've used this exercise to feel darkness below, balance in the middle, and lightness above. And unfolding lightness to the balance and down. And then we can add into that the imagination, the understanding of the course of the day. I'll go back here again. From midnight, midnight gives way to dawn. Yes. Dawn gives way to light and full midday. Midday subsides and sinks into sunset. Sunset sinks into midnight. Again, from below here during nighttime, usually I keep my palms down. Nighttime to dawn, turn your hands. Dawn. The soft colors give way to brightness. Full on light of day. Open. Feel what that does around your head. The aura around your head is wide open. Turn your palms. Find your way into darkness again. And again, feel from darkness to midday, or sunrise. I'm sorry. Turn your arms up to midday, bright. And now the colors of midday subside. Light becomes the tender colors of sunset. Sunset fades into darkness. Now, this practice of imagination is very important in the Eurythmy process and important also in what we're doing with our studies of media. It's important that you're always linking experience with what you do, very present, overcoming media, which can create these images for you so that you see them yourself in your own visualization. So we're going to go back to this again, the simple opening movement. And instead of the times of day, let's go from winter to spring, spring to summer. And of course, it's the same archetype. So here the arms are down, the darker and the cold season below. Winter gives way to the rising forces, the etheric forces rising in nature, until at spring, they burst into life, and life goes into the full flower of high summer, mid-June, and then the flowers turn into fruits and seeds, fall to the ground. The leaves lie on the earth and life forces sink into the depths of the earth. The quiet of midwinter. Again, winter to spring. Spring to summer. Summer to autumn. And autumn to winter. Good. And now we're going to start to add stepping with this. So we're going to integrate the imagination with your mind, the feeling of changing between dark and light with your arms, and then with your feet, we're going to walk on the earth and talk to the ground, tell the earth the story of a human being who's experiencing life. And then we'll go back and work more consciously with feet. But let's begin. So you're here for each quarter, for each partial movement, we'll take one step. So a very slow step, darkness, very slow step to here, to spring. Turn your arms up, very slow step, spring. To summer. So this is mindful walking, summer. To autumn, autumn to winter. And let's do that backwards. Winter to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn, autumn to winter. Now, unless you're really gifted or really experienced in these arts, that was probably a bit of a challenge to get a full experience with your arms and also be very balanced and beautiful in your stepping. But this is part of the integrative capacity practice of Eurythmy. So let's try again. Just mindful movement. Some of you can think of Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist practices of walking consciously. Let's begin. Winter, here's one full step. Touch the ground as you expand to mid-side. Next one. 2, summer, one full step. Summer, 2, autumn, autumn, 2, winter. Good. And backwards. Autumn, winter, 2, spring, spring, 2, summer, summer to autumn, autumn to winter. So we've done some work feeling in previous webinars, feeling our arms like wings. Let's take that for just a moment. I'd like you to really be sure that you freed up your wings, your arms when you do this. Good. Okay. Now, let's just concentrate on the feet for a moment. For each step, is this, again, the Eurythmy practice is to be able to walk consciously on the earth, even while we're doing so much with the upper body. How do we walk in full awareness of the fact that we're incarnated and as spiritual beings, we have a story to tell to the earth? So each step in Eurythmy is very conscious. And to learn how to do that, we begin slowly and then later much more quickly. Each step for everyone has 3 parts. When you lift your foot and you move it to where you want to go, we'll just do forwards to begin with, and you place it. So let's take the next foot. You lift it and you carry and you place. And there's a beautiful harmonizing breath and discipline in making each one of these 3 parts equally long, because they have to do with different soul capacities, your thinking, feeling, and willing. Backwards, lift your foot. That takes will. And then thinking, and then feeling. Lift your foot. Free yourself from gravity. That's a remarkable thing. Plants can't do that. Minerals can't. You can. You can choose where to go. And you can ground yourself and give thanks. Lift and carry and lace. Later, we'll also do sideways, but to begin with, just these 3. Again, lift. Feel yourself. Now balance carefully and place. And when you place, really put your whole weight on that foot. Be sure it's going to hold you while you take the other step. Carry. Really ground that foot so you won't waver when you stand on this one alone. Carry and place. Grounded so that you're free to make a beautiful step with the other foot. Place. Yeah. And backwards, I lift, carry, and place. Lift, carry, lace. Use your whole foot to really ground. Carry, lay, lift, carry, and place. We're going to do it again. And I have a little story to tell you while we do this, that just continue as I tell the story. My Eurythmy teacher learned from Rudolf, her teacher learned from Rudolf Steiner, so my grandmother teacher, if you will. And at one point in her life, she developed breast cancer. And she asked Rudolf Steiner, what shall I do? That was before he had worked strongly with the medical field and developed this medicine called Iscador that is often used. And he said to her, two things will reestablish the balance you need for health. One of them is to stimulate your thinking by reading very difficult philosophy for an hour every day. Okay, let's do one more forwards and backwards. The other thing to do is to do this practice of walking in balance for 1 hour every day. And you can do different variations on it, faster and slower. But I'd like you watching this, doing this, to see if you can experience how many things you need to balance here to get this to work well. And I'd like you to see if you can get it to really harmonize your breathing, because we're balancing the three systems of our body, our thinking, feeling, and willing. Thank you. I can see, let's try one more time. I can see this is not as exciting as what we're going to do in Eurythmy with planets and constellations and all coming up. But this is the foundation that we're going to need. Place it well. And then we're going to add our arm movements in a minute. Oh. And return. And we're going to also begin walking faster. Place, lift, and there's a quiet beauty and grace and peace in this. And this harmonizing peace reminds you that you are a human being. All right. Now I'd like you to practice this movement, and then we're going to use it to accompany our walking. I'd like you to make a wonderful, generous movement from behind, deep, and in front. Then from in front, deep, and behind. Now, as I said, everything should be done with a picture, with visualization. You can imagine yourself on a swing, perhaps, swinging this big, long swings that I knew as a child, with chains that were 15 feet long and hung from a sturdy steel frame on top. They don't make them anymore, but they were such gorgeous swings. Do that, this big, generous swoop. Now see if you can notice with each swoop of the swing that your breath is affected, your breathing. What happens to your breathing? And one of the gifts of Eurythmy is it really harmonizes your breathing without doing panting or yoga breathing or Kundalini breathing. It's just a very harmonizing breathing through healthy movements. What does this do? I inhale here, just naturally. Exhale and inhale. And exhale. Is that what's happening to you? If you need another breath, go ahead and take it, no problem. And I turn sideways so that you can really see my movement. All right. We're going to now match this wonderful breath with our stepping. Put your arms back and take one step, either your right foot or your left. Step forward. and back. And just rock onto this step. Don't actually move your that leg. Rock onto your front step, integrating your chest and your legs. Thank you. And again. And again. And again. And again. Okay. And hopefully your feet are well grounded and you're beginning to understand how to really flatten your foot. All right. I hold this for a second. Now, in this one swing, you're going to take 2 steps instead of just one. And you're going to take the first step here, and that brings your arms down, and the second step's here. And the first step here, and the second step here. Okay? 1, 2, but the breathing is still the same as it was a minute ago. 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Is your breathing still relaxed? All right, let's do 3 steps. We'll take 1 step and your hands are behind. The second step, your hands are midway here, down at the bottom and moving forwards. Third step, they're up. 3, 2, at the middle step, your weight is down. 1. Again. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. And you see that you're starting to move faster. I ask you with 1 slow arm movement, which is 1 slow breath out and then in. In 1 slow movement, you take more steps. Still with the toes first and back. All right, can we do 4 steps? Still so slow and easy here, even while you're busy down there in your will. 1, 2, 3. Always touching with the toes first. 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Notice when we do Eurythmy, we put our foot on the floor. We touch with the toes first and not with the heel. 4, 3. All right, let's do the fastest one. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4. One last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4. And rest. Check yourself inwardly what has changed. I hope you're not out of breath, but I hope you're feeling invigorated, essentially. Lots of breath moving inside. All right. Continue with some of these practices here. The next thing I want to do is really open up our sense of our front space and our back space. In Eurythmy, we always have to pay so much attention to the space in back. And this is very important for our work to counter the negative effects of computers, because the computer, the sense world of the modern human life is very addictive for us to be involved in what we call the visual space, what we're doing on our desk, what we're doing with our cars, what we're doing with our writing, cooking and cleaning, everything that engages us in the sense world, the world that we wake into every morning, live in throughout the day. But there's, in fact, a whole wealth of invisible things in our environment. And we practice that by feeling right and left, as we did with our opening exercise, but even more by feeling the space behind us. So how are we going to develop this healthful picture in Eurythmy? For one thing, by using open gaze and learning to look at the world through your heart as you walk into the world. Try to trustingly sense the world and the reality of the people that you work in. And also by feeling also the backspace. And now I've got my hand right here behind the heart chakra, and I call this the back door of the heart. Can you find that space in yourself? I want you to imagine as you walk backwards that you can see what's behind you from here. And then as we practice raising your arms, I want you to feel that your arms begin here at the scapula, the shoulder blades, and not here at the shoulders and hunched shoulders. And as we all know, we tend so much to live our lives with cramped necks, shoulder pains, and all that. And the easiest way to bring health to that is to discover how to move your upper body from out of these shoulder blades. And we call these the wings. So let's work first of all on the wings. Can you feel that space back there? And try to imagine yourself like a great bird, or better yet, as an angel. And if you've seen paintings of Renaissance angels, think of these wonderful wings that they might have. Some of them are white, some of them are rainbow colored. And I would like to propose that we human beings in our spiritual form also have wings. Wonderful wings that we have forgotten. And because we've forgotten them, they have shrunk. And right now, they're only little wings that are folded inside our shoulder blades, our scapulas. But I'll turn around just to confirm for you that you're probably doing it correctly. Really, I'm feeling back there. As I lift my arms, I'm moving that back there. Up. These are your wings. Do yourself a favor. Work with this a little bit every day. Your wings. Your wings go, if you will, from winter to autumn, or to spring, into summer, to autumn, to winter, winter, to spring, to summer, to autumn, to winter. Good. And now we're going to take those wings and do one of our basic Eurythmy exercises. Spread your wings wide. Are they well spread? And now you're going to fold them into your heart. As if you have a gift in your hands, your wings have brought a gift to your heart to say, you are born out of spirit. And now, feeling your wings as the origin of your movement, unfold your wings and spread them wide. Bring new light from spirit, way out there, your hands, but beyond your hands. You've got big wings when you do this movement. Here, within my heart, shines the light of the sun, big and wide. Feel those wings. Within my soul weaves the warmth of the world, big and far. I will breathe the light of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Light of the sun pour into me. Warmth of the world. Flow through me. As you stand here, are you tall? As you end an exercise, take a moment always to feel what kind of healthful posture that movement landed you in. Let's continue this and do this breathing, contracting and expanding with a few steps forward and a few steps back. Remember that with every step, you're talking to the ground. Maybe we can take 3 steps forward. Have you got long, long winged arms? And let's bring them in 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Now, before you go back, remember your scapula, but also the back door of your heart. And with that place, you can see where you're going back to. You don't need to think of your eyes, but you've got magic in your back. 1, 2, 3. Are you really in touch with that back door? Your eyes are open, but they're not looking in front of you. Your spirit eyes are looking backwards. And bring that in. 1, 2, 3. So back, you are seeing already. You can sense where you're going. And within my heart, change shines the light of the sun. And with every step, you ground yourself on that balanced foot. Within my soul, weaves the warmth. Every foot steps beautifully. I will breathe the light of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Light of the sun pour into me, and warmth of the world. Now drop your arms. Be very conscious of all the doors of your feeling body that are healthy and open. Warmth of the world flow through me, head above, grounded, sensitively alive to the fact that we move in an enlivened world. You know, and your consciousness of that is stronger than the EMFs and the whole computer space. Your consciousness of the health that you move through is stronger than all the things around you that assail you. And that's why I felt really strong, even in the time of COVID. You are so present as you walk through the world. You know? Nonetheless, when I walk through the world, I'm quite normal. But because I practice this presence every day, 15 minutes to an hour every day, or you can just do 5 if that's all you have, but I practice it. And so I carry with this consciousness of the spirit forces that hold us. Now we have a little bit more time here, and we're going to go a bit further with our gestures. What we've done so far are what I call pre-eurythmy. They're the warm-up exercises. And I beg the understanding of those of you who are ready to get going on some sound exercises. But I wanted to welcome the newcomers in and also set this foundation for a really healthy relationship to the body. But eurythmy doesn't become really eurythmy until we start noticing how we shape the space that we stand in. And that is directly correlated to the sounds of language and the shapes that we make with our mouth, the larynx, and all as we speak. Meaning, if you could see, if I was exhaling smoke, you would see that every sound that I speak makes a different shape off in the air. And without the smoke, the shapes that it's making are actually the shapes that I'm sculpting into the etheric air. And in eurythmy, we have a particular love for that because what we're shaping are the formative forces that have made the world. And that's what I'm going to be talking about a lot in this first September lecture series, the shapes of the etheric world and what we do when we speak. And in eurythmy, then, we take that a step much deeper and use our body movements to make an experience of make visible the same thing that we do with the miniature muscles of our mouth. And the point is that we can imagine a godly being or many gods, many angels, many high spiritual beings were making the etheric world around us move in wind forms and water forms and air forms. And these shapes were not just wild and crazy winds, but were shapes with meaning. And these same shapes also live in our body. These same shapes live in the plants and the natural world, and they live in miniature in our language. So when we speak, we're imitating the forms that the spiritual gods made in creating the world. And when we do eurythmy, we're getting to know them in another way by moving them. Those of you who've been doing eurythmy with me or other people, you know these sounds, many of them. We've also studied how they are connected with the planets and constellations. But today, let's just meet a few of them that many of you know. And let's practice doing them with the consciousness of the big wings. So I'd like to begin with the wonderful sound B, which experience with a yellow dress and a blue sky around us and red power on the inside of our protective veil. So shining inside out of your self-knowledge, you reach back into the sky. You're still shining, but you're going to wrap yourself in a cloak of protection. Wrap this around you. And you stop here to hold it so that this cloak of protection has its boundaries, its limits, and with a little kind of inner click, just invisible, but there, a shaping sound, you feel that red veil, the red tension, the lining of your cloak. Again, this is the sound that we know in language as B. Reach back, feel your wings. Always the wings are engaged. Feel the back of your heart. And from behind, don't forget your behind space as you wrap your behind wings around your ever so spiritually radiant core. And again, from behind. And I hope you can also experience and research how that breathes, just as we did that with our swinging movement. There you are bright. Where do you inhale? And where is the natural exhale? Every sound breathes. You wrap a cloak around yourself. Or for a moment, you imagine you watching the gods create a tree or a boulder or a bush. There it is. Oh, beautiful tree. Grow and be healthy. Or be a bird. Oh, little bird. Rest in your nest. Oh. And now your human bee. Your angel comes and wraps wings of protection around you. Oh. And let's try now a contrasting sound. And let's try the sound E. The T is like the mighty god Thor throwing thunderbolts down to the earth with great power. It's the most explosive sound of all. And in Eurythmy, we learn to bring that divine, godly force right into us with the sound T. Sometimes we do it out there, but we can also do it right here. We need a big movement with your wings. Start here. With the help of your wings, pick up all the space around you and bring it in and let it hit the top of your head. And what happens to your upright body when that happens? Again, use your wings, not just your arms. Don't move that. Move your shoulder blades. All up to the skies, up to the heavens, and now it finds you. What happens to your uprightness? Do you crumble? Is it too much? What does it take to meet the power of the gods? Now, what I am asking you is if you can feel inwardly, as that comes down, inwardly, you have to rise to meet it, or else you would crumble. And so, in being taught to stand straight, the gods have given us our upright stature. And so, whatever comes to you in life, you are strong to meet it. You develop the strength again. Thank you. Now, in Eurythmy, truly a big part of our practice, before we're doing poems and music and so on, is just to practice working with the dynamic of sounds in as many ways as we can. And so let's try doing this B, one B for every step that we take, integrating the sound with our walking. And really, for some of you, if you came to me for private sessions, this would be your prescription. We'll take 4 steps forward with the B, experiencing your balance and etc., with 4 Bs. And then we'll walk back to our beginning place with 1 T. 4 Bs and 1 T. Yeah. Are you ready? And yes, learn this well. It's fun to practice at home. How much are you working on here? Lift and carry. Touch with your toe first. Whoa. And again, can you experience how the breath works? Oh, you're feeling your wings behind you. You are visualizing a cloak. You are making safety for yourself. Well, you're making a skin to protect yourself against all of the harmful, crazy effects of life, against the EMFs. You make yourself strong inwardly. And now with the T, we'll go backwards with 4 steps. 1 T, and feel I am strong enough to withstand all of it. Like this. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Let's do that 3 more times. Lift and carry from behind. And feel this movement is not just your arms, but you've got a cloak that goes all the way from your head down to the feet. And the next step, ground that 1 foot you're standing on. Lift, carry. Oh, there's a lot happening. Eurythmy as a curative exercise. Oh, and lift. Build yourself a cloak. Oh. And now go back and find your complete uprightness. And rest. Again. Lift and carry. Oh. Lift and carry. Oh. Lift and carry. Oh. Lift and carry. Oh. And now backwards. Big arms, big wings. And rest. Thank you. And now just a little bit more. I'd like to do with you the sound L. And those of you who've done Eurythmy with me, you already know the sound L. But I'd like us to really focus on experiencing the L from the shoulder blades and not just from the front space. I want you to have this feeling. And again, noticing some people might not know the L yet, I'm not certain. We always start the L from here, from the neutral position, but conscious of what's happening in our back. The L is going down. What's happening with your shoulder blades here? Can you feel? You really go into gravity, boldly, bravely go into the darkest places of midwinter. Now begin to say, let's transform. The L is a sound of transformation. Here, you're halfway between darkness and light. You're at that horizon line. Keep going up to high summer. And now unfold your arms. Ah. And can you feel that in your back? Turn them, rotate your shoulders from the back, rotate them. And again, lift. Know about your back the whole time. The heights, exuberant, joyful, light. And again, remind yourself, you don't use your eyes to look up and around in the light. You use your peripheral vision to see and feel how much you're affecting your space. Such a beautiful sound. And now, the last thing that I'd like to teach you is, I don't know, shall I say dessert? It is perhaps the primary exercise which I offer to people to help to overcome the stress of being too much in the sense world and how much that tears us down and reduces our sense of natural vitality, which we should draw by feeling the spiritual sources around us. So in a way, everything that we do in this space is catabolic, just tearing down forces, destructive forces right into our consciousness, right into our metabolism. And that, yes, catabolic processes are important for our thinking. We will deal with those thoughts later on in the lectures. It's too much concept for what we're doing here. But to balance them, we need to always be aware of the sources of spiritual light and life. And we do this with this wonderful exercise known as awe and reverence. And now I'm sure some of you are going, oh, I'm so glad we'll do this one again. It's such a well-beloved exercise, but let's teach it to the new people. The awe reverence is composed of two halves. The first half is doing the eurythmy sound ah, which is wonder and openness and devotion. And then the second half is called reverence, which is not a sound in eurythmy, but a pure soul disposition, a soul position, where you create the feeling of, I remember what is above me. I revere the divine. And we linger there for a moment. The exercise itself is an immersion in the contrast between front space and back space. The space in front is where we'll create the ah gesture, which we kind of embody eurythmically the experience of being in the sense world. One might, if one wanted to go into dark spaces, say, I imagine what it's like to be on the computer all day like that. That would be the really dark side. But we could also say, I love the beauty of the world. I love my garden. I immerse myself in that. But I immerse myself in the tasks of the daytime. And then, as if an angel comes and taps you on your back, you are reminded of what we experience at sleep in the archetypes. What lives in the invisible world at all times, the yin and the yang of this existence, the sense world and the spiritual world out of which it all flows. So when we do this exercise, we like to do it 7 to 10 times. So let's end our class with that. And then we'll take a few minutes for questions, not many today, but a few. So I would like you to start like this. In preparation, aware of front and back space. Now imagine before you, great, whatever you like, but let's imagine beauty. You know, peonies maybe, beautiful flowers. We come towards them with this, the gesture of awe. Study this carefully for a moment. I don't want us to come forwards like that, but here, this wide ah, the same ah that your mouth has when you say ah, not but ah, study that. Yeah. Come forth here and imagine your whole soul streaming out through your arms. And then your wings behind you are touched and you open them. And we actually could imagine that with the sound ah, like that. Here we go. Arms are up and abruptly feel your back space and feel as if suddenly you can see and revere powerful, majestic beings behind you. Stars, beings that shine in the night sky And in reverence, lower your arms the whole time, trying to feel the night sky. Yes, and once again, notice what that does to your breathing. Right? Let's try that 6 more times. You don't speak it, you feel. And then create the feeling as if you've been touched, invited to behold a greater reality. Until your feeling gets down to your heels. The whole time I'm not looking at this world, I'm just feeling back there, eyes open, but filled with amazement that I can see the spirit with my back. Ah, beautiful, these flowers. How majestic the stars. Thank you for giving me a doorway, dear God, a doorway for seeing what's greater than I am. Two more. Overcoming the stress of the sense world. This also is great if you have a hard time falling asleep at night. This helps you throw off the cares of the day, opening the doors to the sources. One last time, and at the end of the last one, let it ring through you in silence. And drop. Feel. Be. Just stand in that quiet space. And acknowledge that something's happened to you in this last hour. And I invite you to fold your arms. And we always do that as a Eurythmy practice, and closing and holding on to everything that you've created and creating protection around it so that then you're ready to be vitally awake in the day. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that this has been a rich time. And let's have just a few minutes for questions, not too many today, but I would love to hear your questions. We can open this up so that we can see each other's faces. If you have your camera off, you might reveal yourselves if you like to, or not. But it can be fun to see each other. And Michelle, do you have any questions there? Michelle is our wonderful moderator here.
At this point, there are not any questions that have come in at this moment. Oh, wait a minute. Shall I unspotlight you so we can go to gallery?
Mm-hmm. I can see everyone, but maybe that's because I'm a host. Spotlight me, please.
It's because you're special.
Well, for at least for an hour, I'm special. No.
And beyond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, it's good to see some of our friends here that we've been working with before. I think we see a question. I see a finger anyhow from Gare. Do you have a question there? Was that?
Yes, it is about the breathing. When you go forward, you breathe out.
Now, are you? First of all, it's never a prescribed breath. It's an organic experience. But for instance, in the going forwards with contraction, I empty myself. And here I fill myself. So if that's your question, yes, that is an out breath and an in breath. And if you need to take 2 more breaths of that, that's fine. You know, it's, as I said, it's not rigid. Does that help?
Now, I'm not sure.
Okay. Fair enough. Tell me, ask more.
I do all kinds of exercises, and
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, it is an organic thing. Don't just natural." So don't be fixed on anything.
Yeah.
But that's a problem.
Yeah. So the movements, if you will, I am inviting you to see what movements your body wants or how your breathing wants to align with your movements. But I experience as I come into this, I become quiet. And also the chest is compacting lightly, but not with muscle strength. And as it compacts, it impels me to have an exhalation. And as I do that, the lungs are expanding like that. Or with this movement, yeah? That's an out breath and a in breath. As the arms lift, the chest lifts. So perhaps I invite you now to see what your experiences are now that I've explained a little bit how I experience that. And you can get back to me with a question.
Yeah, that is a wave-like thing. But because it is moving space.
Yes.
With information. So, and then you can make it go without interruption. It is beautiful. But once you go to make intention too strong there, then something is not beautiful.
Yeah.
It has to be natural.
Every sound, if I do a word, the breathing really gets reveals itself as something else. If there's a lot of sounds, there's a lot of shapes that are happening. But if I just do a single sound, every sound has its own breath. For instance, the L impels in breathing, and the M impels out breathing, and so on. So every sound is its own dynamic in the breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of our research, our experience. The N, how does that breathe? That's a sharp inhalation. Yeah. N.
Yeah, they use that in the Tsuneng Qigong. You have a meditation with the and you go in a space of space. That is the key to the information that we have no key to. But the N is a little bit the key to open some space. The information that's in the space.
I love it. Yes, I think from my understanding of N connected to Pisces, I could say that too.
Pisces, yeah.
Yeah. Gare, I need to move on. And essentially, I know that one very important person here has got a bit of a time crunch, so we can't go on too much later today. So so thank you, Gare. And let me ask, are there other questions here?
Yes. Lila, would you like to unmute yourself? Oh, you are unmuted. Yes. Would you like to
I
share
am
your question?
unmuted.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia, for this very wonderful class. I really enjoyed it. And I'm wondering whether when you send the link to the recorded part, whether we would be allowed to share that with somebody that we think would be very interested in this.
Yeah, let's be a little bit fair with that those who have, I mean, yes, you actually can do whatever you want with it, but it would be better if they would register themselves.
Of
Did Lila
course,
just
but I
yeah. If they would register themselves, and then they will get all of them. Next week, they will also, for next week's letter email will include to this week's and next week's recordings. So all the way up to the 4th week, people can register new and get the previous recordings with it, if you understand.
Right.
So yeah,
I
it's
do.
quite.
I just feel like someone that doesn't know this is actually my daughter-in-law. And I think that she would really, she doesn't know what it is. She only hears me talk about Rudolf Steiner and whatever. And I just thought, if she could just try one time, I
Do
don't
it.
mean I would say all the time, just one time.
Do
and
it.
Then she could. Okay,
Do it. It is such a wonderful practice, and it belongs to the world. And I'm just an enabler. So yes, do it.
I really appreciate that this is available online, because my whole life I've been interested, but I always live rurally, far away from anything. So this is a wonderful opportunity.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in Canada, kind of in the middle of nowhere in the mountains in British Columbia, near the north of Spokane.
I have
kind
to
of
say,
north of
Lila, you are kind of my, when one makes a website, one is supposed to make an imagined client. That's kind of the way that one does a website. You're my imagined client, someone who loves or who wants to learn Eurythmy and lives far away from everything else. So this is all.
I will just quickly add that I grew up in Norway, and my own mother lived in Oslo in Norway when she was a child, and when Rudolf Steiner was speaking all around Europe, my grandmother wanted to send my mother to Waldorf school, but father said no. And
what a story.
It's this kind of frustrated anthroposophical line running through the offspring. So thank you. That's all.
I'm so glad you found it. I'm so glad. Look, we've got time for one more person, I think, right?
Madeline.
And that would be Madeline.
Yeah, thank you so much for the class. It was wonderful. I have a question. When you're standing after a movement, I noticed one foot is forward a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all the case?
That is not proscribed.
Okay.
I come to I feel very free in that position, but you can also have them together. It's this is one of the free places.
Okay.
So yes.
The knees are probably bent a little bit.
They're soft.
Because it's natural. Yes.
They're soft. But the most important thing is I really let that moment be a moment where I feel the light and feel it all. I feel presence.
Yes, thank you. And also, do you offer private classes online for a medicinal?
Yes, I do personal counseling. So if you want that, just send me an email.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right, dear friends, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. And I hope to see many of you on Thursday nights if you're really interested in going deeper. This is a very vital question of our times. So yeah. Thank you. We'll go. And wait, let me just one more. In this month of September, I will focus on creating with you a deeper understanding of the etheric body itself and what we call the biological etheric forces and the freed etheric forces. And that's in preparation for what we'll be doing then in the next set that runs through the next part of the autumn, and in which we will be working really with what's happening, the assaults upon our freed etheric forces. And we'll get really practical too about what's happening to children and screen time and all of that, which is, yeah, this is an age where we are becoming mechanized, but it doesn't have to be that way. So that's my work. All right. Blessings to all of you. Thank you, Michelle.
So
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you for your
Cynthia.
support. And we look forward to getting the email in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye for now.
for blessing us. Thank you.
Thank you.